The word Hispanic is used a lot. And so, where the hell that word come from? Number one, anybody knows. And what term should folks use?
Street Soldiers Radio is the voice of the Alive and Free movement, preventing violence worldwide.
The word Hispanic actually comes from the U.S. Census. The reason that they established Hispanic was to divide out the Brazilian population, because Latino would imply any Latin-based language or country of origin. So it was a part of the divide and conquer policy that the U.S. established in the census and has continued on. And so I, as a Latina, say Latina and choose to identify as a Chicana because there's such a complexity of Latino identity, and we need to recognize too that it's generational. So for those of us who have parents who were born in Mexico but we were born here, I identify as Chicana. That might not be the same for another Mexican American. So I think that in the end, the census doesn't work for that very reason, that it divides us. And what if you're white and not Latino? What does that mean, right? So interesting to think about the history of that and how the U.S. has always had the mentality of dividing the Latino community.
Because Hispanic in English was introduced at the census, but before that in our communities the word Hispano existed, and it was used exclusively for white Latinos to exclude themselves from a broader population that they did not want to struggle with. They wanted to assimilate, they wanted to get the prizes of their white skin, and so they came up with this term to say, I'm Hispano, and that puts me in line with the Spaniards who are white, and not with our Haitian brothers and sisters who are predominantly black, our indigenous populations throughout Latin America who we love to exclude to get ourselves a little bit higher on this ladder. So the term has just always been raced and classed and has always been toxic. And that's why the majority of the community that does have pigmentation in their skin, that does know the struggle of being low income and race people in this society, has always rejected it. You always hear the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. You never hear a Hispanic community organization.
Also decided, or they tried to divide us, but I don't think they conquered us at all because we're still here, you know? And just because we speak different languages all across the Americas, like we're still a part of the Americas, north, south, east, west, whatever, you know?
Hello, this is Gavino. I think also in the terminology, I use the word Chicano also because it also has a political connotation that I'm committed to my community, and also it also kind of highlights my indigenous background. I think sometimes in the terms Hispanic and even sometimes Latino, we forget about our indigenous connections to these lands as a brown person, and so that's why I don't feel like a foreigner, or when they say undocumented or illegal, because I have connections to the Americas. And also within the question you said about linguistic diversity, we also have to look at diversity within. So in Mexico, for example, in San Francisco is a big case. We had the Maya community of Yucatan that, a lot of the restaurants here, are full of Maya Yucatan speakers, and now in schools. So even if you do bring a Spanish translator, they speak a dialect, or I don't even like to use the word dialect too, but
Right.
it's a Mayan language, and so. Do we have those people to be able to serve that population adequately?
Yeah, because what I was about to say, being of Dominican, I'm consistently associated with baseball.
Oh,
right.
Okay, that's the kind of thing.
I'm consistently
right.
right. I
That's
say
the
I'm
kind of
Dominican.
thing I'm talking
First thing that comes
about.
out of people's minds sometimes is Sammy Sosa.
Right.
So
Got
I'm like,
it.
okay,
Got
well,
it.
yeah, not all Dominicans play baseball,
Yeah.
even though we do. But I'm trying to go ahead and I'm trying to say that it's real funny when you go ahead and you look at it in that sense, where all of a sudden, each Latino, I believe sometimes each Latino group has its own niche sort of or lens that people view us. So it's widespread. I mean, you have not only Dominicans but Puerto Ricans and Mexicans all have a different lens. So.
Right.
I mean, what I'd like to add is just that aspect is how often as Black Latinos, we're often, feeling left alone or left out because we're not often accepted in the Black community, nor are we sometimes accepted in the Latino community because, Black folks, well, we speak Spanish, so we're not really Black. And then, Latinos were not recognized or easily recognized as Latino when you first look at us. You first look at us, then, even in Latino community, we're seen as Black, not necessarily Latinos. And so, that becomes a sort of a challenge.
That's it. Back to the identity piece that we're talking about as we started the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, that's a dialogue that we really have to be able to begin in all of the cities, where in Richmond, I initiated that conversation that we, promoting a dialogue between Blacks and Latinos because, if we can really combine our efforts and our struggle and our powers, we could be incredibly powerful, because then we become the majority. And so unifying as communities would be so empowering and so powerful. We could really be able to begin to get things done.
And one of the great issues that was brought up was our educational system. And like you said, as a teacher, one of the biggest issues we're facing is that we're training a diverse community. And I mean diverse in every sense of the word, from language to culture to history. And first of all, we're not teaching them their histories. That's a whole other conversation. But we could be here all night on that.
I'm familiar with that one. Okay.
Yeah, I think everybody in this room knows that struggle. But most importantly, I think that we're also having to face the fact that we got to train our next workforce. And right now, the students that graduate from our high schools, if they graduate from our high schools, are not getting trained to do the high-paying or working-class jobs that they need to be trained to do. And I say that because it ties back to everything: economic development and keeping youth out of jails and making sure that our people are succeeding. And so I throw that out there in kind of a general way, because I think education at every level needs to improve. And it's not only for the Latino community. I think that the numbers show that we have the most at stake in terms of dropout rates. It's dismal in California.
Just in the Bay Area, too, the Latinos in the Bay Area. It's a big difference up here. This is Gonzalo. And because of the mixture, we have a big mixture in rooted with the African-American community. And it's a big difference out here. I work out in Richmond, San Pablo area with a lot of the youth out there dealing with the violence prevention and intervention, the gang stuff out there. And I also worked inside the institution, so I worked throughout the Bay with a lot of the different structures and so forth. And you even have a division within even just the streets. Folks that are up in Salinas and stuff, they look at the Latinos down this way as being more African-American. Oh, you guys act black, you guys talk black, you dress black. And so there's a division within there. So then even them, they have their own identity and then their own difference. And they don't want to be categorized as being Chicano, or they don't want to be categorized as even doing the traditional Latino street thing with the red and blue. They don't even want to be part of that. They're creating their own little thing. And it's a mixture's taking place. So then they have their own identity and their own label. So you can't, it's like anything and everything. You can't put people in boxes. Everybody's different. We're all individuals, but we all have to come together to be able to conquer this. The things and the struggles that we're going through, believe me, it's going to come to the black man too. They're hitting us right now, and there's things written, we all know that are in place that can put us all away just because of the color of our skin. But if we don't educate ourselves and begin to educate our youth about what's really going on in the laws and the gang enhancements, they're trying to build more prisons and put us away. And then now, what they're doing is they send us back to our country, and individuals don't even know about their country anymore. Some of them left at a young age, and because they never got documented, or whatever you want to call it, whatever, different people call it different things, and people get offended. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but then we deport them, and then they go back to their country, and then they bring the craziness that the U.S. put on us to separate us into those countries, and then it affects those countries out there. And then now they're doing where they want to send us to other states. So now all these cliques are clicking up with people going, Denver, sending us out to North Carolina. They're sending all our young men and women to these other states, and they're making stronger connections and getting trapped in that conditioning of the streets. So that's a whole nother thing that's going on. But and that's a whole nother identity.
They want to give us the gang injunctions instead of giving us money for programs and arts and everything like that. They're closing my school. My students don't know that. They already said if they close it, they're going to drop out. They're closing 30 schools in Oakland just to make them all big and make all the kids used to being in a prison-like institution. And we have our own solutions to our own problems. We can organize, we can do arts programs and everything, but the government just wants us to swoop everybody up off the street and do these gang injunctions and get everybody imprisoned, and they don't want us to be educated because that's direct competition with the government, and we got to rise up somehow.